Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to my first animation analysis in quite a while. I think since the last time I did something for Honkai Impact, specifically having a video for it at least. This was the one voted on by the community, and 1.7 thousand votes, 44% of them said I should be getting to Rondo, so I am going to do that today. Of course, since it's been a while, it's going to take a second for me to kind of get used to my stride here again and try to remember how I did these, so I guess without further ado, we'll jump into it and kind of work it out from there. So without further ado, let's go.
The remembrance is no different than the sea. Never gaze upon its surface on a starless night.
Don't need the subtitles.
Waiting for someone.
Beautiful lighting already.
Then, how about a dance?
Atmosphere and the composition's already on point.
My gaze has lingered on her for quite a while. And tonight I initiate our first engagement. A Galaxy Ranger.
Oh, they're gonna be doing this Tango some justice, aren't they?
Just.
You can already tell from the first movements.
And reticence. Yet, in this nocturnal hunt, the Ranger is not the only one who hunts. At this distance, you're more enchanting than you seem.
Great attention to detail in this choreography.
Without doubt, she seeks the Watchmaker's legacy. In this game, everyone lies, but memories do not. Just keeps on getting better, doesn't it? Everyone has a past, and the past shapes the present.
Oh man, I love this so much.
Some people hold on to memories, while others are haunted by them, unable to escape. That is why I took action.
I'm loving the dynamic between them on this
what
dance.
she is.
This is so gorgeous.
Many were drawn to this feast. The IPC, the Garden of Recollection, Fools, the Nameless, and the Annihilation Gang. They should have been present, but Duke Inferno is dead. He and his children won't be attending. What have you done, beautiful Ranger? Excuse me, are you asking me?
Ooh. Ooh. Oh yeah. Switch up the roles in the dance even. This is sick. Moments like this. Oh, dude. I'm so hyped.
Who are the Annihilation Gang?
She. Good lord.
Has lingered on her for quite a while. And tonight is our final engagement. A Galaxy Ranger? No. I've made a grave mistake. Everyone has a past. But for some, their past is a silent abyss, filled with those who drowned in it.
Yo.
Annihilation Gang. Annihilation Gang. Oh. Those guys.
Dude, the visual storytelling on that shit, are you kidding me? Before I even get into the animation analysis specifically, I want to state how amazingly clear that this video was with its entire intent and the relationship of the two and how they were battling against each other during this dance. You could have straight up, and honestly, arguably directorially, I would say that it might have been a stronger impact to not have any speaking until after the dancing was done, because I understand that you have to have some sort of a storytelling going on, but that was done so beautifully in the movement. The way that the relationship of the dance, that language, that conversation they were having was so immaculate that you didn't honestly need the voiceover at all. I could tell what was being said through that entire dance alone. I didn't need any extra detail, albeit not everyone's me and they might need their handheld a little bit more in certain ways, but I think that that was an amazing use of the space, the energy, the time they had there. It was so well paced. I cannot be mad about that. And though I arguably think it could have been more powerful without that narration over it, I definitely understand why they did it. But still, just God, the visual language of this was so nuts. And I definitely have things I want to talk about in depth, so let's get over to the actual analysis, shall we? So after that last bit, I realized I didn't have all of my lights set up as I usually do, so that was my bad. I think I was just too excited to get back into the animation analysis stuff, so I completely forgot to set all that up. But either way, let's get into this. The first thing I want to talk about with this one is actually the lighting here. As I mentioned in the very beginning, it's beautiful lighting. I mean, you could just sit here and have me talk about the rim lighting, the way that the light in the background is just perfectly like reflecting, like all these reflections and lens flares happening off of the camera is just such a good minute detail that I love when they add. But the one I specifically want to talk about is the balance of light between these two shots. So right here you have all of the shade on the right side and then the left side over here, or if you're talking about her actual face, the right side of her face is bright compared to the left. The opposite is true here. You get that darkness on the right side of the face and the brightness on the left, which is kind of showing both, yes, they're alternating angles, and that change of light does prove to be efficient when you're doing that. You want to make sure things are mirrored. If you're having a mirror shot, for example, the 180 rule does follow that exact concept. It also shows the dynamic of who's more prevalent in the moment. The light on the right side of the face usually showcases more of their importance on screen, and then when they switch to her and it's covered and much more in shadow, that shows that she's the underdog. It's a visual language choice and it works phenomenally well, and I just love that type of a detail. Usually directors don't really think about this sort of thing too much when they throw stuff together. The people drawing the shots don't really actually do this sort of lighting, but whoever was doing the lighting pass, who was ever in creative control of that, did an amazing job making sure that there was that language being so clear from the start who is in charge here. The other thing that helps that is actually seeing her looking down and of course towards the other character versus her looking up away from the floor. She was initially averting her gaze, then to lock gaze. So there's actually a slight change in the character's intent in that moment too. You're showing the character choosing to lock their eyes with this other character that has been predominantly showing all of that power in the prior shot. So it's just a very cool thing. Lots of good details here directorially especially, and I know there's a lot more I want to get into with the dance, so I think we'll just skip straight to that. So the first thing I want to talk about, I'm letting this play through while I mention this. This is a control move. This is a power move, not specifically to the characters, of course, but in the dance. This is what I mean by through the dance, they're telling their story story, she's taking the lead. So this other character here is immediately in the second chair, and she is showing her dominance over her. That's just how the language of this dance is going. And like I mentioned earlier, that's exactly what they want to show, and just following that language is all you really need to understand who's in charge in the moment. You see the woman with the white hair showing this sexuality towards her, this sense of absolute control over the other character's body, and she is letting her know she is in control, she's in the lead, and therefore transferring that onto the conversation they're having, showing how she's kind of looking down on her as a submissive partner instead of allowing her to take the lead in the alternative. Traditionally in dance, you have the male as the lead and the woman as the follow, and that is just how things go. It shows a power dynamic. Usually the larger set person tends to take the lead no matter the gender, but especially in traditional terms, that's how things go, and the power dynamic has just kind of held true all this time. But when you have two characters of the same gender doing a dance, it can really go either way. It just kind of depends on what you want to do, and it truly doesn't matter these days who is the lead. It's just a matter of who wants to be the lead and who wants to be the follow. And that is kind of what's interesting here, is this character did not get much of a chance at the very start. She was kind of thrust into it, and especially at the beginning, as you see them walking in here like this, you can see that she is allowing herself to lead the other character into the dance floor, and immediately she takes control over the dance, and we get to this spot here where she's like, okay, I'm the lead, follow mine, and we will do this my way. And that just holds true throughout this dance. I would like to talk more about this dance specifically, but I'm not that well versed in any dance really. It's not my forte, but just with that character dynamic, it makes it very clear animation wise visually. But through this dance, and especially at this point, you're seeing a lot of things here where you see this other character start to kind of fight against that lead just a little bit, like pulling away the hand from the kiss. There's just a dynamic shift starting around this point in the dance, but still clearly having the girl with the white hair be the lead in the moment. And it's just interesting to watch how much emotion is happening during this dance, how much you can piece together what's going on without having any audio. If somebody were to come into the video right now, you would probably be able to piece together who's in control, who's not, and what's about to happen here. And I absolutely love that. This isn't even so much a talk about the animation specifically, because yes, the animation is fantastic for this dance. I could go off on this, and this is a beautifully rendered dance sequence with a lot of attention to detail on how the dance moves are done. Probably a very heavily referenced dance. Most likely they just looked up a bunch of videos of people doing tangos and piecemealed together a dance that they wanted to do that was choreographed properly. Or they may have, and this is kind of what I figure, they could have hired a professional to come in and choreograph a dance around the exact story they're trying to tell, and kind of worked off of each other, both creatives on either side, trying to make something that worked and told the story that they were looking for. And I think that's probably what they did, given how much variability there is in this dance and how many little character things are happening throughout. And especially when the black-haired girl takes her moment to finally shine and take the lead, it's a very dominant moment, and you see a lot more turmoil in the dance. It almost gets a little bit more interpretive dance at that point too, where there's just, it still has the root of tango, but there's a lot more aggressive flinging than would be happening in a normal tango. Even for the most aggressive of tangos, they usually don't go that far, but we'll get there. I'm just nerding out about how fantastically this was done, and while I could go off on the animation specifically, truly a lot of this is just fantastic character animation using great reference, great choreography. That's kind of hard to break down specifically talking about animation techniques, because at large it's just utilizing that reference and doing a fantastic job drawing it over and making the characters be who's on screen instead of the original dancers. But there's still some amazing effects work happening throughout here as well. Just nothing during this section where I was like, yeah, that's worth breaking down, but we definitely get there when the other character takes control. There is some amazingly creative stuff in that spot, as I'm sure you've all seen, but let's get through there and see what it is. Real quick thing before we get to the next spot though, right there, this was this character fully submitting, and I love that. Like, it was the last moment truly where this white hair character was probably thinking, oh, now I've got her. You know, like these little things in the characterizations of this dance are why I love this dance. This is a full submission, even choosing to put her hand back into hers and continue the dance. You can see a little bit more some aggressive switches happening here, especially with how the black hair girl's legs get really intimate on the white hair girls, like in between there like that. There starts to be this slight dynamic shift through here. And then when this moment happens, that's when all of that does make its full switch, and I absolutely love this next section. Just right here, where we get to that point of, oh no, I'm no longer in control. The other girl takes over the dance indefinitely, just rips her apart. Like I was saying right here, a lot more aggressive tossing around. It's just some amazing visuals. She's just being a lot more aggressive about it. She's being much more angry with her dance and just showcasing truly who is in control in this moment. And there's just some really cool visual things here, like every single time she gets whipped out, having all of these flecks of, I guess, energy. I don't know what else I would call these. I know sometimes they do turn into what I can only assume to be ravens or crows flying away from here. That's super neat. Love that visual. Just the ripping and tearing of all of this is so cool. Having this background be so whippy as well. It's just all working so fantastically. Also having the snake ripping apart the birds in the background kind of as a pseudo subtle visual. It's not really subtle, but I'm sure you get what I mean there. It's not exactly the main focus of what's on screen. Love that as well. The fact that she just turns into birds here, and then this, like, oh, there's so much. I love this sequence. This sort of visual thing, taking all of these speed lines and just making art out of it, is super cool. Just showing this minimalism on screen. I love that they're using very obvious predator-prey visuals here, and it's just making everything kind of feel more real in that moment. It's supposed to be subtle in a way, but it's obviously extremely obtuse as well. Like, you can of course tell what they're trying to say here. That's what I mean about not really needing the narration over everything. You make it very, very obvious here with moments like this, what's happening. If that aggressive shift in the dance wasn't enough to tell you what's happening here, this visually is all you need. And I love how many varieties there are too. How many options you can pick from of predator and prey, and they're just like, here's what's happening. And we're not just saying this is happening a little bit, we're saying she is getting fucking wrecked right now, and just making that visual so cool. Love how creative all this is. Anyone who's ever watched one of my analysis videos before knows how much I adore impact frames especially, and that's kind of what all of that section is. It's this really neat impressionist-ish sort of approach to how do I make this message clear, and this one's really cool too. A black hole of all things. If you were looking to make a final like predator prey, that would be it. Just having light being absorbed by a black hole. That's sick. The visuals are nuts on this. The highlight finally showing itself here. Like, they could have made that red, but they wanted it to be as obvious as they could on screen, making it right there and almost dead center too. It's so cool. I love this so much. Having all this is just, I'm geeking out so hard. There's so many things I could get into about this project and how it handles the lighting and the animation of each and every frame so beautifully. Just her getting ripped apart. Again, having this like black hole kind of visual as well going into it, and using that as the showcase of what's happening to her, maybe her soul, maybe literally getting ripped apart. But then it goes right back to the final part of the dance, and we know exactly what happened in that moment. And all of this within this one conversation of the dance. This is such an amazing visual storytelling piece. This is so cool. This is some of the neatest shit I've seen in a while. And you can tell that she's not dead or anything. She's still breathing. Like, she's not gone. It was just like, that was in the mind. She completely fucked her mentally. And that's so impressive to show visually and have that much emotion and that much storytelling in just, what, maybe 2 minutes of footage? That is so insane. I also love this one, and I'll explain all the reasons, of course, but let's just start with the most obvious one for me, this long shadow being cast. The long shadow is a visual representation usually of being very imposing, on the rest of the characters on screen. The whole, like, you cast a shadow on something is a way to signify that. It's a show of power, for example. If you can cast a shadow on something, it means that you are larger than it. You overcast whatever is on screen and you are more strong than that. And it's definitely showing almost the opposite of what the first shots had, where it was showing this character being the underdog in the situation. This is signifying she never was and never will be the underdog, and I love that. I absolutely love this entire composition. The other reason I love it is because it is off kilter. We're at a Dutch angle, which just means that the camera is crooked a little bit. It's to signify something being off in the frame, and that could be a character, it could be something in the background. If the camera is a little bit tilted and not straightforward, there's usually something wrong going on. It's supposed to signify that sort of emotion. But in this case, we can just tell that the character herself is a little bit not okay. And in this case, that can just mean that the character, obviously, from what we just saw, will go to absolute depths in order to get information she needs and complete her job in whatever way she sees fit. And that is totally fitting considering what we just saw and considering what else we're seeing, all of the bodies falling. And of course, she's doing her narration through here and kind of explaining what is leading into that visual happening. And that's just neat to see. You know, you're seeing effectively the manifestation of bodies she's already collected in order to get information and figure out what she's going through. But at the same time, like, we do learn through this narration, she's not entirely like clicking. Like, she's dealt with so much shit that she's not able to remember all the shit she has to deal with. Like, there are bugs so small that you don't remember when you step on an ant. That's her personality for me from this short. She is such a being larger than life and such an imposing threat to anyone that if she doesn't remember your name, you're probably not that big of a catch, and she has to choose to remember you, if you even need to be remembered at all. So this is super neat. I love this project so much. I never thought I would be talking about a project relating to dance this enthusiastically, but I adore this. I love that I was able to talk about the language of dance more than the actual animation, which is pretty rare for my videos. I usually talk about animation technique a little bit more often, but most of what was happening on screen was all the visual storytelling. It was so phenomenal. Every single little thing they were doing emotionally was just absolutely on lock, and I gotta give them props for that. That's what they were trying to use to tell the story, so that's what I'm going to talk about. But I do think at large that will wrap up my thoughts on this project. There were some amazing visuals on this, and definitely a great first video back for doing my regular animation analysis videos. I loved this, and I see why so many people wanted this one to be the one. I know there are other videos that a lot of people were saying I should get to instead that were also part of that poll, but I will definitely be getting to those as well over time. I just wanted to see which one I should get to first. So I guess without further ado, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this one and you want to see me do more animation analysis stuff, by all means let me know that I should do these more often if you want to see them more often. These usually just kind of end up as a secondary to my regular reaction videos, but I love doing these, so if people want me to do them more often, I will make it happen. But either way, thank you all so very much for watching. If you have any other videos you want me to get to, I know I need to get to that Honkai Impact 3rd and Star Rail collaboration one that everyone else wanted me to get to as well. But if there are any other ones that you guys want me to get to, by all means let me know in the comments below and I will do my best to get to them as always. And of course, if you just like this video and you want to follow me and support me for more in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!